It knows, right? Say something.
Is it on? Aha. So I think this is important today because this is being recorded. Thank you very much for that. It's always nice when we can look back on these events. That's my friend, the Vogue model. Tiziana. So, that's exciting, isn't it? So everybody look here now. Arrangement. Oh gosh.
You have to change the white things on the when you show the link.
Well, apparently, see, that's not really what I want, but it'll do for now.
No, you have to slide the white thing.
Yeah, I did that, and now this, at least it's backwards the right way now. Good enough. So, I have the great privilege of doing a lot of public speaking in open source and business contexts, and one of the things that's happened over the last year or so is that I've been getting invitations where someone says, "Here's your topic, please come and talk." So, Drupal Camp London this year, a guy called Tim Deason gave me this topic, and I was working on the slides just before, I was finishing it up before I was going to speak, and I said to him, "Oh, this is really challenging. It's really taken me a little beyond my comfort zone, and it's been good for me though, and I think it's going to be something useful." He said, "Oh, I just wanted to trip you up." So, not very nice of Tim. However, the material is really interesting, and there's going to be I'm writing a series of articles, and we're doing an ebook and stuff around very, very similar topics, convincing potential clients to use Drupal, which I assume everybody here wants to. And just to do two shout outs, if you are in the business of Drupal and you want to do better in business, I strongly recommend going to Jacob's talk after my talk, and also checking out the stuff that Robert Douglas has been talking about recently. He did a keynote in Stockholm and a keynote in Edinburgh that are about how to build a product business around Drupal. So basically, we're technical people, right? We're all geeks. Who's a geek in here? Who likes to code? Oh, I talk fast, and I've got too many slides, and we're late. If I'm talking too fast for you, please tell me, and we'll fix it. So we're geeks. We love to code, right? We love widgets, and oh my God, dependency injection container. Yes, your clients don't care about that at all. So they don't care. They don't care about the features. They care about, you have to show them the benefits of what they're going to get if they choose you and they choose Drupal, and you might even have to explain what that benefit will mean to them. So who builds websites, Drupal websites for clients? And who works somehow in a large organization in an internal Drupal team? Okay, and who hasn't put their hand up yet? So, quickly, this is me. I have the lovely job of talking about the intersection of what we do and the intersection of business with a lot of different audiences around the world. You can find me online pretty easily. This /acua.com/podcast is where I make the most noise. I'm also on Twitter a lot. And yeah, so check that out. And if you have any questions, you please always feel free to contact me. That is me at Carnival. And there's another presentation about Drupal superpowers, if you're interested, that's floating around the web. So look, features, like all this stuff, right? WYSIWYG and spam control and social media integration, all this, that's just, you can't pitch for any project without having this stuff now, okay? It's just and you know, most every system has more or less got all this stuff. It doesn't matter, right? And I'm going to skip over this a little bit, but you know, hey, in Drupal 8 we've got, you know, real previews and WYSIWYG and the mobile toolbar and the admin menu works on mobile, and you know, it's awesome, and right, and we've got Twig and all this really, really great stuff, and you know, Composer, Guzzle, Ascetic, PHP unit test, all that stuff. But it doesn't matter, right? That doesn't really matter. You've just got to be able to build what your clients need to be able to sell them a project. So my premise is that Drupal is more than just a bunch of features that are stuck together, and I want to talk a little bit about the benefits of using Drupal. And this is a series of thoughts that I had, a series of statements or questions about what we do, and it's a little bit free-form, and like I said, I'm working right now to focus this into some concentrated, sensible materials that you will also hopefully find useful when I publish them in the next weeks. So look, I think that Drupal has all the benefits of being free and open source software, okay? And then it gains a lot because it's very, very broadly adopted, and because there are an awful lot of us doing this in the world, and this gives our software package some real advantages that can translate into business benefits for your clients. Hopefully we're all on board. We understand what open source means, right? You are free to use this. Nobody can take it away. Nobody can charge you double for it. You control your infrastructure. You're free to study it. That means that your clients are free to make better informed decisions. You can see every bit of the code, so you know what you're getting, you know what it does, and you know nobody's tricking you. You're free to change it. That means that you can make the ideal perfect tool for your client's needs, and you can build a business on that. You can pass it back to the community. You can, whatever it needs. So, and all of these multiply each other. So in a very, very, very tiny nutshell, there's a whole multiple hours of talks that I give just about these, but this is what we're talking about when we say we're open source. Drupal has, we're saying maybe it runs 2% of the web now. It's very popular around the world. How many Drupal 7 modules are there this week? 8,000, 8,500, I don't know. There's a ton of plugins. 80 to 150,000 active members on drupal.org, depending on how you slice that. An awful lot of developers and an awful lot of businesses. So this picture, you know, this picture gives your clients an idea that, hey, there's a lot going on with this software. So when I talk with businesses, generally businesses need to be profitable, right? As open source practitioners, we've got a lot of ideals, we've got a lot of idealism, we're very excited about all sorts of things, but it's much easier to do good in the world. It's much easier to live up to your ideals if your rent is paid, right? If you've got a roof over your head. And if you run a company, most people I talk to who run their own companies, their biggest worry when things are not going as well as they could is that maybe they can't pay their employees' salaries at the end of the month, right? If you've taken the responsibility of hiring people and then you can't take care of them, that feels really terrible. So fundamentally, right, a business needs to be profitable. And a business today, to be profitable, I contend it needs to be innovative, it needs to be smart with its money, you need to be efficient and productive, and you need to mitigate risk, okay? And I say that open source and Drupal gives us all of that. If I'm talking with specific business audiences, I say this, exactly what I just said, but I say it in different words. So They're much interested in hearing speed of innovation and time to market and best of breed integrated solutions, okay? But, you know, and quality, security, accountability. So there are different ways of presenting this, but it still all boils down, and you can classify these things other way, but these are very, very top of mind priorities for businesses today. I mean, I say enterprise businesses for sure, digital agencies for sure, but I'm sure that this sort of stuff counts across the board. So Drupal's a huge, massively adopted open source project, and it delivers all of those things that I was saying before. And then at this point, I'm going to go through a series of statements that have worked in some client pitches or seem useful or are theories that I'm exploring about talking to people about Drupal beyond saying, oh, we've got RSS feeds on every page and, you know, we do whatever it is technical because they don't count. So businesses hate being the first one to do something, okay? They hate being the first one to do something. They hate taking that kind of risk. Choosing Drupal is not taking that risk, okay? And you can find all of this stuff online. All of these organizations in all of these verticals are using Drupal. It is not a risk to choose Drupal for media, right? It is not a risk to choose Drupal for government. It is not a risk to choose Drupal for education. And you can tell them that because these are broadly adopted in a whole lot of verticals, solution, rip out everything that you've got and put in our solution, and you've got social business covered, right? Well, first of all, you know, this was a great idea. This was a great idea when it was sold, right? It's brilliant. A TV and a VCR in one. Now, the TV still works just fine, but this, what do I do with this now? Right? And how do I plug in, you know, how do I plug in my DVD? Oh, there aren't any DVDs players anymore. How do I plug in my oh, no more Blu-ray. So now I've got, you know, I want my Netflix on this. How is that ever going to work? You know, maybe I can bolt it on as an afterthought, right? How do I solve for mobile with a proprietary system from even 4 years ago? I can't. You don't want something like that. You want something that's modular, it's made up of discrete units, that's standards-based so that you can, over time, you can start with something that flies, right? And then flies a little further, and then something that you can steer, that one up there, and then, oh, hey, I'm going to put a motor on that thing, and then I'm going to go places, and over time, whatever still works, right? You keep it, but you take out the pieces that don't work for you anymore, you put in new ones. A modular open source standards-based solution lets you go from there to wherever you want to go, okay? Whew. Who remembers how long it took for the @FontFace property when Google released that? Who remembers how long it took for the Drupal integration to be released? @FontFace was the first time that we could put good-looking fonts into websites. It took 24 hours. So if you have a proprietary system, they'd have meetings, they'd go to the vice president, you know, they'd get it in the roadmap, maybe get something in there in a year or two if it seems important. With open source, we're all in the front lines of dealing with real businesses who want to be innovative on the cutting edge, okay? So everybody's going to want to integrate the next Twitter, the next whatever it is. You are going to be the first to do it, and everybody will love you because you did it, or it's going to happen so quickly that you can turn around when your customers ask for it a month later and say, oh, of course I could do that. No problem. Drupal does that already. So because we're a large and active community of professionals, we can be more innovative faster. I'll skip over this slide. How many of you have designed a project and set all of the features in the ideal case, and then it comes to dividing up money by time by features, and okay, we're going to put this and this and this, and phase 2. Phase 1, we're going to do this, and that other stuff that you want, that'll be phase 2. Does that sound familiar? Yeah, and how many times has phase 2 actually happened? So what about building a better project right now? What about not undercutting the competition and not offering a cheaper solution, but offering a better solution? What about offering phase 2 now? Keep your money in the project, right? If you don't have to put your money into a license fee that goes God knows where, you can keep your money in the project. You can also, I think, very interestingly, you can keep your money in your local economy, okay? A lot of people really care about this now. But if you need to make changes, you need to build something, and you hire your development community from your own city, the money that you're spending, right, you're spending on your local community and your local business, and you're not sending it to Oracle or Apple or Microsoft or anyone else. And I think that's a very, very powerful argument now. So check it out. Phase 2 now, a better project for the same budget. I got 100 money here. I have Drupal. I have something else. Well, you're going to spend money on support, infrastructure, stuff like that. You're going to spend money on license fees. But for Drupal, you're going to spend 0 money on that license fee. Okay? Support and maintenance contracts usually come with proprietary software and usually don't with open source. So all of a sudden, hey, wait a minute, all the stuff that I actually care about, features and training my own staff to use the system, better design, strategic stuff, I can reallocate the money I'm spending and I can put more now. I can keep the money in the project. Same with implementation, same with testing. I can get a better project for the same budget if I spend more on the stuff I really care about that really makes me a better business, okay? More on a clever analyst who helps me decide what the site is for, whatever it is. Because I'm not spending money on a license fee, I can make a better project for you now. Don't tell them this stuff is free. Tell them it has a price tag of 0, okay? Because if you set the wrong kind of expectations, we know that IT projects cost money, right? But when you get down to, hey, IT personnel hosting, blah, 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 once you stop spending the license fee, you can spend your money yourself in what you care about, then these benefits also accrue from open source. You know, you're not locked in. You keep your own data. You can be innovative how you want to, when you want, and you can spend your money when you want to in a targeted, smart way. So open source licenses put you in control. If we're going to stop now, I'm going to tell you, I think, one last story, unless I find another cool slide. So in the United States, my dad says, hey, if you're in the restaurant business, you gotta own the bricks. You need to own the building that you build your restaurant in. And why is that? Well, if I build a restaurant, I'm in a neighborhood where people come by, they know how to get there, it's near a subway station, location is really important, then I cook really well, I build up clientele over time, and, you know, but if I'm in a building that I'm renting from someone, if I'm using infrastructure that I'm not in control of, if I'm using proprietary software, if I'm renting this building and I'm very successful, the landlord can come to me the next year and say, hey, you're doing really well and I love your spaghetti. And since you're doing so well, actually I'm going to double your rent. But thank you for making my property so valuable. If you own the bricks, you're in control of what you do. If you use open source software, nobody can sunset it, nobody can charge you more for it, nobody can take it away from you. And if I build my vision, if I invest years of my time and money in my business, I don't want to have it built on something that I'm not in control of. Okay? And I certainly don't want my government building citizen services on infrastructure that it's not in control of and sending taxpayer money to some company instead of using it for those services. So, using open source software means you own the bricks. It puts you in control. Technically, that's all the time I have. I could go on for hours, but do we have an official keeper of the session time? We don't. Should I just go until somebody tells me to stop? So check this out. This is really, the more you use, I love this one, and this takes a couple minutes to explain. The more you use an open source solution, the more valuable it is, okay? The more people who use it, the better it's going to be. Like I said, more feature-rich, more secure, better refactored, better code, etc. A traditional economy is called an economy of scarcity, right? If I'm a government and I have 100 money to spend, traditionally a government could build a bridge between two places, right? And you can take stuff between those two places and, go faster, and so then the economy will benefit. People can trade with each other, and if you think that will make the world a better place, that's what you're going to do. You build that bridge, it's done, and then you see what happens, right? Now, governments think it's their job, hopefully, to make the world a better place. So, build infrastructure, I spend that money, I see what happens, I'm done. I can choose to send medicines to the developing world. I can fight malaria or, polio vaccine or something. For 100 money, I can send that to the developing world. And if I think that that makes the world a better place, right, I can do that. I throw that money there and I see what happens, but I'm done. I can spend 100 money as a government on bombs, right? And I can go and bomb the crap out of some place if I think that makes the world a better place. Now, I don't think that's good, but, we're talking about governments, and governments do that. So, 100 money on bombs, 100 money on medicines, 100 money on a bridge, but when I've spent that, it's gone. That's an economy of scarcity. I do that, and I see what happens. The White House built this citizen participation infrastructure called We the People, and it's built on Drupal. And the White House now has something like 17 GitHub repositories, which is kind of amazing. So they built infrastructure for citizen participation in democracy, and it's open source, right? So they spent 100 money on it, let's say, and any other government can use that anywhere in the world. Anyone can take it and use it, refactor it, make it better. So if transparency for your citizens is in what you need, citizen participation tools as a government, well, you can take the White House's tool and you can use it. And, oh, that was free. Thank you very much, White House. But this thing keeps getting used more and more and more, right? So the White House, in this case, any government, is able to invest 100 money, and then it can do N work. It can do an infinite amount of work. The more it gets adopted, the better the world becomes, but they only had to spend the money once. It's really, really powerful. It's a really, really, really exciting idea. Here's some challenges. If you want to say this stuff when you're pitching people. Were you talking with me, Chegos? No? Look, I don't know if you want to say this stuff to people, but honestly, you can say, hey, we're an open source service provider. There are actually other companies that do Drupal. This means, right, and all of them know the technology that we're using. This means we're going to do absolutely the very best work that we can possibly do. We are held to the highest standard because there are lots of other people who can do this stuff too. So open source service providers should always be the best service providers for you, okay? The more you can contribute, I think I'm going to wrap up. The more you can contribute to the tools that you use as a business, the better you're going to know those tools, the better you can work. And because it's open source, actually, the Yle in Finland released an RFP where they said, we want Drupal for this solution, and by the way, give us the names of your team who you're going to have work for us if we choose you, because we're going to go look on drupal.org and see if they're really as good as you say. See if you're really part of Drupal, if you're really contributing, right? So actually, participating here, now that our clients are smart about open source, participating is a record of your expertise in public. It's like advertising for you. The more you give to Drupal, right, the better you're going to do in that context. And so Tieto is a systems integrator in the Nordics, and I'm not sure about the current situation, but for a while they had one of the maintainers of the Scald media integration thing on their team, so they were able to say, hey, we'll do you a media solution, and we're absolutely experts in that because, look, we maintain Scald. We know exactly what we're doing. So if you can find your expertise, right, as a Drupal shop, you can show that we maintain the solution that's used on 10,000 sites, right? That is saying, my Drupal shop, the work that we did, it's on 10,000 sites. You're not risking anything if you use our code, right? Plus, if you understand exactly how, in this case, Scald works, you're also taking a lot of risk out of the project. If you use tools that your team is the most familiar with, that your team has maybe built, you're also going to have the least risk in your own project work. So, thank you very much. And I'll be here all weekend, and I'm really thrilled to be in Poland. Thanks.